Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. So, a tiny anomaly, literally just a blip spotted in Google's Gemini app, just gave us a massive, and I mean absolutely massive, glimpse into their highly anticipated Omni architecture. Over the past few days, the rumor mill has been absolutely spinning, but right now, we actually have hard evidence of what Google has been building behind closed doors. And look, if this data holds up, we aren't just looking at some minor iterative software update. No way. This points to a total fundamental shift in how we process and interact with media. So let's really focus in here. We're going to unpack exactly what Gemini Omni is, the wild compute costs to run it, and how it stacks up against the absolute best in the business right now.
What's really wild about how this whole mystery kicked off is that it wasn't some highly orchestrated PR drop by Google. Not at all. It was a complete accident. A random X user with a totally modest following was just messing around, poking at the video tab in the Gemini app, and they spotted something that completely broke the mold. And honestly, in the tech space, isn't that always how it goes? These tiny little interface quirks are almost always the loose thread that unravels the whole sweater. So, this user took a quick screenshot, tossed it online, and literally changed the entire conversation overnight.
And that screenshot, it revealed one crucial tiny line of text. Powered by Omni. Finding that, instead of the usual Toucan v3.1 code, sent eagle-eyed developers into an absolute frenzy over the weekend. Just for some quick context here, the current model running under the hood for Gemini is v3.1, which Google internally calls Toucan. And hey, Toucan is great. It's what we've all been using for our standard everyday generations. But powered by Omni, that means something entirely different. The second that image circulated, speculation just exploded. People realized pretty much instantly that a production switch had likely been flipped by pure accident, accidentally giving temporary public access to a top-secret model.
But here's the thing. The real shocker wasn't just catching a leaked code name. It was the actual output. Because before Google's engineers could scramble and patch the leak, this user actually managed to generate two astonishing videos that escaped out onto the internet. Getting access to a text prompt? Sure, that's one thing. But successfully pulling actual rendered video output from an unreleased next-gen AI model, that is incredibly rare. These two clips give us our absolute first definitive look at the massive jump in generation quality that Google has somehow managed to pull off. And looking at the first clip, wow. What's absolutely fascinating is how it handles text. The prompt asked for a professor writing a mathematical proof for trigonometric identities on a traditional chalkboard, and the video flawlessly synced that complex chalkboard writing with the actual mathematical steps the professor was teaching. If you've spent any time playing with AI video generators, you already know that rendering text, especially complex, handwritten math equations, is notoriously infuriatingly difficult. Usually standard models just spit out complete gibberish, right? But Omni handled it completely differently. The text was coherent. The professor's physical movements actually synced up perfectly with the steps of the equation. It's showing us this really deep underlying understanding of both the physical action of writing and the logical sequence of the math itself. Incredible! Then we have the second prompt, which tackled a famously brutal benchmark. It was designed to push the model to its absolute limits, essentially a modern, highly detailed take on that infamous Will Smith eating spaghetti benchmark from back in the day that older models used to famously butcher. The user asked Omni to generate two men at an upscale seaside restaurant outdoor deck, asking for a mature character with confident posture, circular tables, white tablecloths, detailed centerpieces, the whole shebang. And the visual fidelity? Stunning. The characters remained completely consistent, the lighting felt totally natural, and it handled all those complex background details simultaneously without breaking a sweat. It's a massive leap. Okay, but here comes the catch, and it's a big one. With that hyperrealistic quality comes a massive, massive compute cost. 86%. Those two single videos burned through an astonishing 86% of the user's $20 monthly Pro plan allowance. Let me repeat that, just two videos. This is the brutal reality of next-generation AI. The sheer processing power required to crank out clips of this caliber is immense. If you consider yourself a power user, this signals a massive paradigm shift in how you're going to have to budget your generations. Wiping out almost an entire monthly usage limit on two high-fidelity clips tells us that whatever beast is running under the hood right now is an absolute behemoth compared to our current tools.
To really put that into perspective, when we compare Omni's extreme compute requirements against older iterators, it becomes instantly clear that we aren't just looking at a small update. This is an enormous, highly expensive step change in AI architecture. Think about it. With the older Toucan V3.1 model, you could easily run 15 to 20 generations a day before hitting any sort of wall. Even earlier top-tier models let you crank out dozens of short clips. But with Omni, 2 prompts and your daily limit is basically toast. That points to an incredibly heavy, resource-intensive architecture. For creators out there hoping for unlimited Omni generations for $20 a month, yeah, that pricing model is almost certainly a thing of the past.
So you might be wondering, why on earth is Google willing to push such heavy, undeniably expensive compute? Well, we have to look at the fiercely competitive landscape they're trying to dominate. Releasing something that's only marginally better, that just isn't an option anymore. Companies are pouring billions into securing the top spot because whoever controls the most capable model essentially controls the future of all content creation workflows. Google knows exactly what's at stake here. They need to release an architecture that clearly, decisively separates itself from the current market leaders.
Which brings us to the current heavyweights on the leaderboard, showing exactly how Gemini Omni is positioned to threaten the top tier. Look at the field right now. You've got Alibaba's One 2.7, which is arguably the most feature-complete model out there, offering text to video, edit to video, and just fantastic motion sync. Then there's Kling 3.0, representing these insanely rapid, high-quality development cycles across its Standard, Pro, and O3 variants. And of course, you have Seedance 2.0, sitting right at the absolute top of the benchmarks for sheer video quality. But based on this leaked footage, Gemini Omni is matching, and honestly, in some aspects maybe even exceeding, the fidelity of Seedance 2.0. If Omni launches smoothly, it pushes Google straight back to the very top of this leaderboard. Now, to truly grasp the significance of all this, we need to take a step back and define what Omni actually means. It is a definitive shift away from single-task tools toward a unified AI architecture that natively accepts any combination of text, audio, image, and video inputs and generates a combination of those outputs. It does absolutely everything in one place. And this is exactly where the shift impacts you directly. We're so used to fragmented AI, right? You use one tool to write text, a totally different model to generate images, and a completely separate platform for video. But an Omni architecture natively processes all of it. You can feed it text, audio, an image, or a video, and get any combination of those out completely seamlessly. It understands the world multimodally from the ground up. And if we look back at the original multimodal promises from competitors, which were eventually scaled way down due to compute costs, we can start to see that Google might finally be dropping the uncompromised anything in, anything out engine we've been waiting for. I mean, think back to the launch of GPT-4o. The O literally stands for Omni. We saw those incredible demos of real-time multimodal interaction, but what actually got released to the public was a much less compute-intensive version. The true, unrestricted Omni model was simply too expensive to run at scale. But now, looking at that 86% compute drain from our leaked user, it strongly suggests that Google is attempting to do what others couldn't quite pull off, actually release the heavy-duty, uncompromised Omni model directly to the public. All of this points to a much larger, overarching strategy for Google. They are clearly looking to collapse their fragmented brands, different pipelines, and isolated teams into one single, unified, multimodal powerhouse brand. Right now, Google's AI ecosystem is kind of a giant puzzle. You've got Veo handling video, Imagen generating stills, Nano running locally. That requires managing 3 completely different product lines and engineering teams. But by introducing the Omni brand, Google is signaling an end to all that fragmentation. Everything gets absorbed into a single, powerful engine that you interact with no matter what kind of media you're trying to create. So, all of these leaked clues, the mind-blowing generation quality, and those massive compute requirements, they are setting the stage for an absolute dramatic climax at the upcoming Google I/O Developer Conference. This event is right around the corner, and as we all know, it's where Google traditionally showcases its most significant, world-changing innovations. With this leak already spreading like wildfire and dominating conversations across the industry, expectations are absolutely sky high for exactly how Google's leadership is going to deploy this powerhouse model live on stage. We can essentially break down the upcoming keynote into 3 distinct scenarios. Scenario 1, it's just a simple straight rebrand where they rename their upcoming Veo 4 video model to Omni. Easy enough. Scenario 2 is parallel tracks, where they keep the Veo name for video, but run Omni right alongside it as a separate premium product. But scenario 3, well, that's where things get truly historic. In this ultimate leapfrog scenario, Google scraps the old brands entirely and debuts a single model that does it all.
Just imagine Sundar Pichai on stage, doing a live demonstration using conversational voice commands to generate, edit, and refine a high-definition video perfectly, in real time, right in front of a live audience. No smoke and mirrors. Listen, if Google actually manages to pull off scenario 3, offering a true, uncompromised Omni model that definitively outshines titans like CDAWNS and Wong 2.7, they won't just be participating in the AI race anymore. They'll be completely leapfrogging it. Yes, the compute costs are going to be high, and for sure the usage limits will probably be super strict, but the sheer creative power it unlocks is completely unprecedented. So, as we watch the predictions from this explainer unfold at Google I/O, I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If Google actually delivers a true Omni model, what will you create first?